Life Management Science Labs would like to acknowledge that we live and produce this podcast on the traditional lands of the Wurundjeri people. We'd also like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the lands of our listeners and our international colleagues. We'd like to pay our respects to the elders past, present, and emerging. Hey everyone, and welcome to All Together, the Family Science Insights podcast, produced by LMSL, the Life Management Science Labs. We are champions of life management science, providing structured insights informed by science and inspired by practice on key aspects of conscious living. Each week, we bring you scientific and practical insights on each element with the expert knowledge of professionals in the field. I'm your host, Dina Sargeant. Now, let's get started. Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode. So when you're a kid, you are constantly seeing your family and typically in the same household. But as you grow older, most kids often move out of home or even move to a different country. So we're faced with having to deal with the guilt and also the anxiety of moving on your own. Here to help us talk through this is my host of another show, Lu Ngo. How are you going today?
That's so weird when you're like introducing me. I'm like, how are you going to introduce me?
I don't know.
Great. There's so many ways you can introduce me, by the way. But yeah, thanks for that introduction. I'm great. Having a very big cup of matcha. Yes. So that's fueling me right now. And yeah, I'm fueled as well by our talk a little bit earlier. So yes. I'm excited about today. And I have a lot to say about this topic.
I know, she just came back from spending 3 months with her family. Yeah. So there's a lot.
Yeah, but I have so much going on to talk about. I don't know. This is very timely. I'm just like really glad. Really glad we could talk about it.
Oh, I'm just glad to have you on.
Thank you.
And a personal expert of personal experiences to help us.
Yeah. I mean, disclaimer, don't take it from me. Just, experience it yourself. I'm going to share my side of the story. You might hate it, you might love it. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. So we're going to start with a little get to know you, as you probably know how to go.
Yeah, I know exactly how it's going to go.
So for those of you who don't know, we're going to be sharing the first few things that sort of come into Lu's head and just following the keywords. So the first one is your favorite book.
I told you earlier, it's a very tough one because I have so many favorites. So I'll probably just recommend what I'm reading right now because that's very timely. And, I personally like it for the start of the year. Mm-hmm. It's called The High Five Habit by Mel Robbins. I love Mel Robbins. I've been a fan of her for a really long time. And this book in particular, I picked it up because of, first of all, the hook was definitely the title. Mm-hmm. But second of all, I really liked the concept. The idea behind it, and not really a spoiler, but, the name says it all. So the high five habit, you just high five, but not somebody else. You actually high five yourself every morning in the mirror. Okay. And there are multiple reasons for that, and I'm probably going to let you read through the book to find out. But
no spoilers.
Yeah, no spoilers. But I really love the fact that she just learned through her own experience, and she shared how powerful this small habit can be in your lives, especially when you need a little support. And, we all know, or maybe some of us don't know, we're our own best friends. Mm-hmm. So, the only person who's going to be there from start to finish with us would be ourselves.
Yes.
And we need to find ways to, help ourselves go through tough times or even just to keep ourselves motivated. It's kind of like, sometimes you need a friend to cheer you on or be your accountability buddy, but you can actually be your own person for that. So, yeah, that's so far the idea. And I'm only a few chapters in, but I'm already hooked. So, yeah, I'm sure there's more to find out, but basically that's the gist.
Well, I can't wait to hear more about it when you message me and tell me how it ends.
I shall, for sure.
So next up, how about your favorite movie?
I am conflicted when it came to this question because I have a lot of favorites. Again, I'm going to suggest something that I just watched actually last night because I like to watch serious movies with twists and turns and, you know, lessons and things like that.
Yep.
But oftentimes when, you know, when I just need to chill out, I'll watch a rom-com. This is sort of like, I feel like my guilty pleasure, but I don't know, like, I don't think I should feel guilty because of it. So yeah, there's a new rom-com on Netflix called Your Place or Mine.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, with Ashton Kutcher and Reese Witherspoon. It's really funny. I think it's really sweet as well because it doesn't talk about the, you know, like the teenager kind of love, but, you know, the more adult, mature relationship and, you know, how two people find ways to each other. Anyways, I will leave you guys to watch it and, yeah, come to your own conclusion. But I think it's really sweet. And, yeah, I'm a big fan of the both of them. So I enjoyed the experience of watching it. And the funny thing is they weren't, like, together in the same space for like 90% of the movie.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, I think that's the highlight to me because, like, you know, with distance, the relationship grew, and they realized a lot about each other. So that's interesting.
Yeah, that's a nice new way of doing it, new way of relationship.
For sure.
That's really cool. How about your favorite podcast?
You know what I'm going to say. So, Dina, you know exactly what I'm going to say. But for listeners who don't know, I also host 2 other podcasts on the show. And because of that reason, I don't listen to podcasts anymore, like, period. I have to be very honest. Ever since I started hosting, I just stopped listening to podcasts because I enjoy the experience of being in the studio and learning from our guests directly so much. And, you know, every now and again, I would watch your guys' podcast. So, you know, because we have 10 podcasts, right? That's a lot of information to consume. And I'm already like a fan of all of our shows. But because I'm here today, I'm going to share about my shows, which are one about happiness called Seroboost. And the other one is about well-being called Doing Well. So if you haven't checked that out,
I'll have them all linked down below.
Thank you. Thank you kindly. But yeah, I'm also a big fan of all the other shows that we have. And yeah, I haven't listened to all of the episodes, but I've definitely tuned into each show a few times. But yeah, that's on my to-do list this year to listen to your guys' shows more. So yeah, I'll probably have 10 favorites next time. So it's gonna take me a while to list all of them.
We'll do a tier list somewhere in the middle.
One is hard to suggest, but I can suggest 10. Yeah.
Yeah. It's so interesting, and we've sort of built a whole little community amongst ourselves as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if it's gonna be weird, you know, plugging our own things, but I genuinely think our shows are really great. Yeah. Our guests are amazing. You know, you guys have amazing energy as well. So, you know, it's just a joy listening and watching you guys even. Yeah. I feel like I'm there with you guys in the studio.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think probably my favorite of yours is the Seroboost one.
Yeah.
It's my favorite show. Like, I keep listening back to it and watching it back. It's so nice.
But then you guys kind of have to watch my show as well because of me. So.
Yeah, I know, like, oops. I listen to her on the go on Spotify, but I watch her face on YouTube, especially the 3 months you were gone.
Aww.
I was like, I forgot what she looked like.
So sweet. Yeah. You have my funny expressions on the screen. Yes. Anytime you want.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm a very expressive person.
Yes,
so, yeah.
You can't hide it.
Cannot hide it. No. Yeah.
So how about your favorite course that you've completed?
The most recent one that I've completed, and I've talked about this a little bit on my shows as well, is called The Science of Wellbeing. That is a free course on Coursera, and recently they also released a version for teenagers as well. The reason I liked it was because it's, you know, from a Harvard professor called Laurie Santos, and, you know, she has this energy to herself that makes you feel like she's genuine, and, you know, she truly wants you to learn and grow through that experience. And I think, to me, the instructor of a course is really important. So for me to have that experience is actually quite empowering. You know, just doing that with her and seeing other students in the classroom that they filmed as well, and they're kind of like nodding along, making notes, or, you know, sometimes asking really good questions about well-being. And I've actually paced myself doing the course because it was, you know, you could do it in one go. Took a few weeks, but I actually spaced it out, and then I did it in a couple of months just so it helped me. And sometimes I redid some of the modules because I just needed to do that and go through the experience. So yeah, I think that, and also we have some courses that we're developing, which I'm also a fan of, because I've been testing the courses, and sometimes when you're really close to the product, it's really hard to say. But at the moment, we're testing the emotions course, for example, and I actually learned quite a few new things along the way. There's definitely room for improvement, so I'm hoping that when we release the courses, it'll be something that everyone can benefit from. And, it has a lot of new insights for us and practical tips as well. But I do think that, the model of self-paced learning really helps me. So, yeah. You asked for one, but I gave you two. So there you go.
It's a fun fact about the emotions course as well, is that our voices are going to be on it. You can hear our voices coming up.
Yeah, I know, exactly.
So we're starting to record the audio for a lot of them now. So
not just emotions, all the courses.
All the courses.
We all have
There's
voices.
so many.
Exactly. There'll be so many of them.
So many different areas that we're so excited to share as well.
Exactly. Very keen to share.
All right, so we're coming on here to talk about not just the 3 months that she's been away, but what she's done in the 3 months that she's been away.
Why does it feel weird now? Why is it about my 3 months? This is about my whole life.
It's your whole life story.
It's about my whole life.
From day one.
Pretty much, yeah. We're going to talk about that.
So, let's start off with, everyone has a very different definition of what family is.
Yeah.
What do you see as your definition of family?
Good question. I was thinking about it when you showed me the list of questions, and I was kind of like, this is tough to define. Because it could be really simple. Like everyone knows, right? Family unit, with all the family members who live together and, grew up together and whatnot. Like maybe the traditional definition. But to me, this definition comes from my own experience and the fact that I moved to a whole different country and start my life from scratch, pretty much. To me, family is my support system. It's not just whoever I'm related to by blood, but actually whoever are in my life giving me the love and support that I need to, go through anything in life, really. So in the past, for me, that was my mom, my grandma, grandpa, and we have an extended family as well, but to me, my core family was with them. I don't have that close of a relationship with my dad because they split when I was really small. But to me, like my grandparents and my mom were the world to me, basically, and they still are. My grandma passed about 10 years ago, but she still is a big part of our lives. But now I'm here. I'm not home anymore. And for context, I moved from Vietnam to Australia. So it's a very different experience. And I think when I moved here, I initially didn't think much about family. And there were a few things that happened along the way. I've been here for almost 5 years now. It's come my 5 years.
Oh my gosh.
In... Which day is it now? Probably in a week or something.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so very soon, 5 years and counting. But yeah, when I was in my second or third year in Melbourne, I was kind of thinking about family a bit more closely. And I was thinking, I don't talk to my family that much anymore, but I sort of have a new family. And then in my fourth year, I heard one of my closest friends in Melbourne said, we are expats, and with that, we are each other's family. Something along that line. And I was kind of like taken aback for a few seconds because it's nothing new. It's not like a new thing that just happened. It happened over time. But it was so interesting to me when she said that out loud because you don't really say that out loud very often.
Yeah.
And then after that, I don't remember exactly what happened, but then we started a group chat called Family is Family. It's funny. That name is formed. And it was just random because somebody else created that group chat, not her. So we have a big friend group. So, that group chat happened. And then I realized, what? We are each other's family. And my family back home is still my family. Yeah. But they're no longer my support system here. They still support me probably emotionally every now and again. But, in terms of daily support or, things that I go through, my friends here in Melbourne are the ones that have supported me the most, and they have become my family now. It's a whole different family. It's a whole different set of unit, and it's for a reason. I'm truly thankful that I have that group of people that I can lean on. And even talking about, the 3 months that I was away, I have 3 cats, and everyone's like freaking out when I said I'm going to be away for 3 months. I'm like, how are the cats going to live? And I'm like, my friend's going to take care of them. And then everyone's also taken aback by that because, that 3 months will be a very long time if someone to take care of your cats. So, I think it's the definition for me personally has changed. And just to conclude it, it's, your support system wherever you are. And it can include your, blood family and also whoever else are in your lives. Could be your friends. Could be your colleagues.
Yeah.
I think you guys are part of my extended family in Melbourne because,
I think so too.
Support system. I think to me that's my personal definition.
Yeah. No, I love that. Like, support system is such a big part of your everyday. Like, you need that. And as much as you can rely on yourself, there's always that moment where you need to sort of realize that you can rely on someone else. So, like, having that as well-being, and especially when you have that independent mindset, it can be hard for a lot of us to sort of want to find that person where you can really open up to. And it's really fun when you do. Because it's like, okay, I have people, I have friends that I now consider family more than my family. Yeah. And people that I would talk to more than my family.
Exactly.
So it's really nice to have that. So, I love the idea of being a support system, and you can choose your family. That's the thing that I think a lot of people are starting to realize. Yeah. Is that family isn't who you're related to. It's who you're with.
Exactly.
Constantly. And so I love that.
Yeah.
So what do you think in the position of a family is in today's world?
It's a big question.
Yes.
It is a very big question.
That's why it's there.
Shout out to our research team for coming up with that question.
I know.
It's a very big question. I think for me, from my own definition of a family, right? I think families make society better. Because I think traditionally, I feel like in the past, the role of families was just to, sustain the bloodline. Like way back in the day. I'm not going to say when it was or if it has changed. Perhaps it hasn't in, certain cultures. But now I really think it's to constantly be there to improve society, because it's supposed to be for education as well. You're supposed to grow and learn together. Or learn and grow together, if you will. It's different in the sense that you just don't go through the days. Like, for me at least, I think, and this is going back to your definition of learning and choosing, as you grow, you choose your family. And I think that's for a reason. Why would you choose certain people to be in your family? Because you find values in those relationships and you learn and you grow with them. And overall, you become better humans and you contribute to a better society. And I think, if anything, the least you can learn from people around you is how to be kind, how to be a good human. If you don't learn anything else, at least, I think that's a constant reminder that you should get from your circle. And, going back to the circle concept and, the family concept that I talked about, I think no one is... this is probably not new to anyone. So no one's probably going to say, I've never heard of this. But there's a concept where, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with, right? And I live by this concept. I surround myself with people that I know I can, learn from and grow with for a reason. And that, those people are my family here. I've chosen them to be my family, and I consciously spend a lot of time with them because I know they're going to help me to become better. And in the broader context, again, just going back to our society and how that's going to help us to grow all together and just become better. Because, if you're surrounded by the wrong circle, then sadly,
it affects you deeply.
It affects you, and then it affects everybody else around you and society as well. So, choose wisely, because I think for me, I've noticed this, and this is from me learning, not me preaching or anything, but a few years ago when I first moved here, I just started to hang out with a lot of different people because, you know, you're new to a country, you don't have a lot of friends, you don't have any family here. You need to make friends. You need to create relationships and start hanging out with people to understand who's right for you. And for me, it was hard to choose because, you know, you need a sample size to choose from. And long story short, I started hanging out with this group. They're not my friends. They're not my family, sort of acquaintance. But initially, it was fun to hang out with them. Okay. And I might have picked up a bad habit or two from them. Okay. I did have a lot of fun with them, but when I really think about it, that sort of relationship was not great. And had I chosen them to be, say, my family now, I would be a very different person.
Yep.
I wouldn't be a very good person for society, if you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, like, I think that's why I said that the role of family is really just to make or break our society, pretty much.
Yeah, I think it's really hard because it's like the whole idea of you are who your friends are. And that really, really that really is impacted.
It's hard. Yeah.
So, yeah, I think it's a really big thing when you're having to decide who your friends are, because you're not just going to be friends with everyone. And I think if you are friends with everyone, you're friends with no one.
Exactly.
So, because exactly. Who are your friends if you're friends with everyone? Because if you tell everyone, like I personally would not open up to every single person I meet and say, this is my whole life story, take it or leave it. Like there's a level of decency as to how much you know. Yeah. And for me, like it's always been, I think like I've always had my wall up for a lot of people, and you can naturally feel who you can open up to easily. Yeah. There are some people who you know, okay, you're not gonna get close to me. So it's like, it's really interesting to, especially when you're learning to do it as you get older. Yeah. Because like you don't want to open up to everyone, but you're still having to know people. Yeah. And you're still wanting that connection with people. So, yeah, it's really interesting.
Yeah, it is. I think it's going to be constantly evolving as well. And each person might think about this differently. But to me, I think it's just really good to actually keep in mind that you need to really think about who you want in your family. And also, actually, this is going to be a little bit of a side note, but I started to read up more on romantic relationship. Not that I'm in one or interested, but I'm just curious, right? Because, and I'll talk to you about this in a little bit, because I think one of the questions might mention this, but when my family, my blood family, just kept asking me about, you know, like partnering up and, you know, like settling down, it came to my mind, like, why? Why is it so important to you? So I started reading up on it. And the concept that we just talked about, you can choose your family, that is also important. If and when you decide to be in a relationship, it's very important to choose your partner. And this is, you know, based on books and research and things like that. I think there are multiple books out there that you can, you know, read up on and probably do your own research as well. There's a book I haven't read, but I got this recommendation from Ali Abdal, one of the YouTubers that's pretty on right now about books and learning and growth. The book is called How to Not Die Alone. And he has a podcast as well, and the author of the podcast came on the show to talk about the book.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, so she talked about the concept of, you know, choosing your family and how do you choose your partner. So yeah, I think it's also very important that if and when you decide to have a family, choose wisely. It's going to be a process as well. And that's why I started questioning all the things that my extended family said to me. I mean, this is not just, you know, over the past 3 months that I was away, but also like, you know, it's been a while as well. Even before I came back. And the reason I started to be like really into this stuff is because I was like mentally preparing myself for seeing my family for such a long time. Because, you know, I know it could be too much, and it was. So I was kind of like reading up on it, and I saw this and I was like, that is so true. This is why a lot of people's lives are miserable because they just rush into relationship and they don't really choose their partners. Yeah. No offense. If you're one of those people, no offense. But,
we're not judging you.
Yeah, not judging at all, but I just observe a lot of people in, in my circles of people that I know, that I don't really talk to, but I kind of know. And then I just noticed that it's a real thing. Like, I see a lot of flourishing relationships, like, people who chose their partners really wisely, and then they have a great life, and they don't care about, the judgment of their families or society in general, and that's great. But there are some other people that just need to rush into a relationship or just need to get married because they are forced to, or, they've been nagged to do so.
They're reaching their expiration date.
Yeah, if that is actually a thing, as if. But yeah, like I find that to be extra interesting when we're talking about the role of family, because when you're in the wrong relationship, you're going to be the wrong person for yourself as well, and in turn, you're going to be the wrong person for society. What are you contributing? Most of the time, probably nothing, and probably you're just draining the energy of everybody else. So I'm very conscious of that, which is why, this is it's a process. If you find the person, you find the person. If you consciously want to find them, that's your mission. Great.
Yeah.
But choose wisely.
Yeah. For me, it's so interesting when you see like a person fresh out of relationship that's quickly gone into a new one. And I'm like,
oh,
how?
Oh, yeah.
How do you
I know.
For me, it took me 2 years to heal from like a previous relationship. And now they're like 2 months later and they're in another one. I'm like, I stare at it for a second. And I'm just like, okay, that's an interesting way to go about it.
Yeah.
So like that's the whole, like when you choose your partner, you don't know so much about them as well.
Yeah. And imagine if that turns into an actual family.
Yeah.
An actual family unit.
Yeah.
How's that gonna go down?
And
I'm sorry, but I highly doubt it's gonna go anywhere.
No, but like especially if they have kids and stuff, the brunt of it is gonna be the kids. The kids are gonna be like pretty much what their parents are, and then that cycle definitely continues. So especially when they have the whole idea of getting married young is very interesting to me, because there are people fresh out of high school that go and get married in a lot of cultures.
Sometimes that works.
Yeah, sometimes it does.
Yeah, but a lot of other times it doesn't, unfortunately. So it depends. If you've chosen the right person to become your family, great. But if not, think hard. Yeah.
Not everyone's that lucky.
Make decisions.
Yeah.
Take a long, hard look at it. You don't have to marry them just because you've been together for a long time.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not the basis of
No.
of building a family.
That's not why you build one.
Yeah, exactly. But what do I know?
Yeah.
I'm a single woman who knows nothing about this stuff. So I'm just saying, this is my personal opinion from observation. But
very observant people, so we see it.
Yeah. Take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah, exactly. You can close now. Okay, so when you decided to, like 5 years ago, you said that almost 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Wow. So you decided to live abroad.
Yeah.
And move abroad. Was that like a thought out decision, or was it something that you knew that you wanted to go ahead and do?
I think it's a combination of both. In the sense that I didn't plan to come to Australia and have my life play out exactly the way that it is now. I never intended to stay. Okay. I never intended to stay. And interestingly enough, it sort of worked out. And that's the concept of choosing where you live. But that's probably for another topic. However, it was also thought out in the sense that I made that decision consciously, and no one rushed me into that. I was the one forcing people to deal with it, pretty much.
Okay.
Because, when I wanted to go to Australia for my master's, everyone was asking why. First of all, why now? Why don't you get married? Why don't you go to work first? Get some experience? Why not another country? So lots of questions from people, but I made that conscious decision because from my own personal choice, it was good to be in an environment where I can actually grow and thrive. So that was the basis of my decision. I needed to be in a place where it's multicultural, where I can learn about a lot of different people and, you know, different cultures. I need the place to be a welcoming environment and a kind one. I need to be able to get exposed to as much culture and art as possible because that's what I love. And Melbourne sort of ticked all the boxes. And on top of that, it's great here. Yeah. You know, it's such a great place to be. And yeah, I just sometimes still pinch myself that I'm living here for that reason. Because it was well thought out in that sense. You know, I chose the place and I chose to move away. And I chose here for that reason. I didn't exactly choose to, like, you know, have my life this way. Actually moving away permanently from my family, which is something we can talk a bit more about, and which I think is important for the topic of the day, because moving away temporarily is very different from moving away permanently. And if I'm honest, I'm still dealing with it. Like, I'm still dealing with the change. It was like last year I got my residency, and it was such a great thing to happen in 2022. Yay. But on the other hand, I was kind of like, okay, now this is hitting me for real. That means I won't see my parents as much. That means I probably won't be there when they need me sometimes. Yep. That means we'll probably communicate less. And it comes with guilt, which I know we'll talk about. Yeah. So, yeah, this is the pretext of everything. Yeah. Yeah.
So how was there any convincing of your family that you were sort of like, in a way, I know a lot of parents worry about like the financial aspects of being financially independent and being able to look after yourself.
Yeah, yeah.
Was there any worry on their side?
Oh, yeah. You just opened a can of worms.
I know.
Yeah, they were definitely very worried. And I think it is it is something that would be different for each and every one of us. My family were definitely not well off. Okay. We're very far from that. And, you know, if I were to think about my life before I moved to Australia, we basically just live a really like very basic life. Like, you know, just like go through every day. Have a little bit of entertainment at home. My mom doesn't even go out ever. So imagine, she doesn't go out, but she sent me to Australia, and it's very expensive. Yeah. So to her, it was like, okay, you can't go, but this is how much I can give you. The rest, you're on your own. You're on your own, kid.
Yeah, Taylor Swift hits hard.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, like, I know we just mentioned Taylor Swift. That song hit so hard when it came out because, yeah, it is basically what it was. Yeah. So yeah, for me, it was a lot of convincing and a lot of betting on myself because, you know, it could have gone down a very different way. It could be, okay, you go, we're going to give you tuition, you're going to take care of everything else. That is the condition. If you can take care of yourself, you can go. If not, it's probably going to be a no. So it took a lot of convincing, and it took me a lot of betting on myself to make it through the past 5 years. You know, it's a process. And even as each year went by, there was even more convincing to do.
Okay.
Up till this point, I don't have to convince anybody else anymore because they know I can do it. But, you know, you could imagine when you're fresh in a country and you're figuring things out, you're already questioning yourself. And then you get the questions from your family too. So it's kind of like, you know, pressure from both sides. Yeah. At one point, it was kind of like this. Yeah. Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's pretty much the convincing. I had to do a lot of convincing even last year when I was working on my application for my residency. Because, yeah, like I think it was like, are you sure? What else are you going to do? La, la, la. I mean, yeah, I'm not even going to go down that road because it's just so much. It was so much to deal with. Yeah. So now we're here because of all the betting on myself and because of a lot of convincing. And I'm glad I did. It took a lot of work, but I'm glad I did.
Yeah, you're here, and you got residency. You've got 3 cats with you.
Yeah, I have. Yeah, my cat
another family.
My cat family.
Your babies.
My babies, exactly.
Yeah, I think one of the things that, like, for me, even when I was thinking about where I'm gonna do my master's, I'm a chicken. I stuck with staying with my family, but there were so many things. Like, I know a lot of friends of mine. They moved to London for their masters and did their masters there, and it was like watching it. I had huge FOMO because I was just like, I could have done that. But for me, like, I was so worried about them. I was more worried about them than I was for me. I was like, I could do my masters anywhere.
Yeah.
But I'll stick with them because I'll leave my sister by herself.
Yeah.
And I couldn't imagine leaving her by herself dealing with my parents. I love my parents, but they're a lot.
Yeah.
So it was that aspect of like, okay. And I think there's a whole thing about being the eldest child as well that hits.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, there's no way I could financially support myself if I was to go. I have no clear direction as to what I would do there. And that I think it got to me to a point where, okay, yeah, not doing this now.
Yeah.
So that's where it came like a big thing when I decided to not go. And I had a chance to. I applied to London University. I got in, but I just...
It didn't feel right.
No. It didn't feel like something I could consciously do.
Yeah.
So yeah, everyone's like very different, and I know a lot of people do it and thrive through. I mean, you definitely thriving through it. You're doing like watching it. It's just so nice to watch. But like, it wouldn't start off that way for sure. Well, like it would have been a lot of like you said, hard work goes into it.
Yeah, I could give you like a list of I don't know 100 things that went wrong throughout that process. But going back to what you just shared, and thank you for sharing that. I had no idea, but you know what? It is your choice, and at one point, you might want to go back to that story and pick it up and run with it again. Maybe it wasn't right for you back then, but who knows what's going to happen in 5 years? Yeah. And the other thing is, I had the exact same conversation with my cousin just before I came back to Melbourne, and the conversation happened because he's one of the 2 children, and his brother already moved to another city for work. It's not that he's moving away forever. It's the same country, just another city. And my cousin really wants to study abroad and also wants to have the expat life and, you know, move away permanently if possible because, you know, that's life. Like, you just, some of us just itch to go somewhere else. So he had a lot of sort of like doubt and guilt. And what I told him is, you know what? If it's right for you, just do it. Because the guilt is there only because you're worried about something that hasn't happened or probably won't happen. For example, if you're afraid that your sister is not going to make it without you, maybe you're wrong. Yeah. Maybe she'll do great, and you know you'll do great as well on your own. So like it's just for my cousin, he wants to go. For you, it's a bit different because you're also like on the fence, right? Yeah. So it depends on each person's. For my cousin, he really wants to go, but he has that guilt and sort of like that question here that he doesn't know how to answer. And we had a heart-to-heart, and it was just like, you know what? If it is right for you, it's going to work out for your family as well. Because when you thrive and you're doing what's best for you, you can support your family emotionally, mentally, financially, anything you want. Can you do that right now? Probably not, because you're suffering. You're not happy with where your life is. So how are you going to support other people? Yeah, it's very true. Yeah, that's what I told him, and I hope it sticks. You know, I hope he's listening to me and just not let it take over whatever it is that he wants to do with his life. And I'm pretty sure it won't. I believe in my cousin. So, and I believe in you as well. At one point when you feel like you're ready for a change, or if you itch for a change, it's going to be there for you. It's not going to go anywhere.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we talked about expat. I have absolutely no idea what that means. So I'm itching to know what that whole ideology and what that whole family means.
Well, expat is a community of people that move away and work somewhere else, not where they're based, born and bred, basically. That's like the gist of it. There are a lot of communities out there, and I had a friend who started to join this expat community. I forgot the name now, but it's an expat community in Melbourne to make friends, socialize, make friends.
Yeah.
And the whole idea and the whole concept of expats, it's not new. A lot of people either have done this or is going through it right now.
Yep.
For me, it's a bit different because I don't know if I can call myself an expat anymore.
Okay.
It's like, I live here now. So, I used to be an expat. Probably last year, that's what I would call myself. But now that I've chosen this place to be my home, it's a bit different.
Yeah.
But for a lot of people, for example, I remember my high school teacher, her husband used to be an expat, actually also in Australia, because they work for the embassy. So they lived in Canberra. And she actually told me a lot of stories about Canberra. It was hilarious how she had so many kangaroos in her front yard. And I have not seen a single kangaroo in Melbourne. So, yeah, that's a different story. But anyways, I think each person would deal with it very differently. A lot of my extended family, have done that or is actually in the process of going through that as well. And it's an interesting thing because you get to open your mind. You know exactly when you're going to go back to, and you have this whole new world in front of you at that moment. So, yeah, I think it's going to change you a lot while you're an expat, because a lot of people went from being an expat to a resident of some other place, even maybe a citizen, Yeah. So that is the case and will probably be the case for me. Yeah. And it changed. That's why it changed the concept of family. Because as I said before, right, while I was an expat, my friends here were my family. And now that I'm not an expat here anymore, I need to think about it. Because, yes, you have your friends. Yeah. But they're going to go on with their lives. They're going to settle down. Most of them will. Yeah. So how do you want to live your life? I don't know. I haven't answered that question. No, it's a deep question. It is. I mean, I have friends that message me, and like my best friends who message me and be like, if you say you don't have any family here, you're wrong. I am your family. But at the same time, the family you get when you're an expat or when you're a resident of another city, of another country without your blood family around you would be very different. Will they drop everything to come help you when you need them? Yeah. Well, maybe. Yeah. It's not a definitely. No. Your blood family would always come. It is a yes, always.
A drop out of a hat, they're there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know that because, your family's here, right? Yeah. So whenever you need them, they're there. Exactly. Will my friend come help me when I need someone to, I don't know, hopefully this won't happen, but take me to the hospital? I don't know. I mean, my friends were there for me when I lost my cat. They were there they were there with me when I had to say goodbye to her. They were there with me when I went through the process of just dealing with the loss and everything. But at the end of the day, will they always be there? You don't know, because, your friends will grow and change as well. They might find someone, settle down, and then their family then will be their priority. Yeah. So this is like my struggle of the day. I don't have any answer for you. I'm just sharing my struggle of the day. That I don't know how this is going to go down. And I'm very happy with how things are, how life is right now. But it is a question on my mind. Will I have someone to always be there.
Yeah.
And I guess that's why people settle down.
Yeah, I know. That's when it would be nice to have a partner.
I guess that's why. Yeah. Because, And also, I was joking with my friend the other day. I was like, Melbourne's so freaking expensive right now. I think that's why people settle down.
Yeah.
Easier, cheaper to share rent.
Exactly.
And utilities.
Yeah, you pay half. I pay half.
Exactly.
That's it.
I know. I live by myself. So ridiculously expensive. But I'm very happy about it. Just saying. I don't need a partner to make it cheaper. I'm very happy with how things are.
Yeah.
But yeah.
The ideal world.
Yeah. But yeah, that's just, some thoughts.
Yeah.
Maybe somebody or an expert who does research in this might know better. But like, these are just questions and thoughts that I have on a pretty much a daily basis. Mm-hmm. Or if not, every other day I'll be like, okay, let's think about life for a second. And then it hits me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a really big, it's crazy just how much we don't realize how much we think about these things.
Yeah.
And the only time I ever realize how often I think about it is when I'm sitting alone. And then that's where it's just I'm alone right now. Mm-hmm. I could be surrounded by so many people, but I'm alone right now. And it's really daunting a lot of the times because it's okay, what am I doing alone? I go out. I love going out for brunch. Majority of the time, I'm on my own doing it.
Me too.
They're 85% of the time, I'm by myself.
Maybe we can go together.
Yeah.
Next time. Yeah,
exactly.
hit me up.
Yeah. You live in the city. I'll come to you.
Yeah. I mean, I can come to you. That's fine.
Yeah. So it's it's crazy just how there's new restaurants that I want to go try, or there's a new movie I want to go try. Majority of the time, I know that there are some people in my life that would come with me.
Yeah.
But they're all in relationships. And I know that they would go and bring their partner. And I'm the third wheel every single time.
I don't want to live the third wheeling life. Yeah, I've lived that life. It wasn't fun.
No.
I mean, if your friends are nice and conscious people, they will make it fun for you. But I didn't have fun. Yeah. And now I know it was just because of the people.
Yeah.
Because, I third wheel another couple and it was great. So you can compare when you've done enough of third wheeling, you'll know which one's better. But I think it depends. And also I highly appreciate doing things by yourself. A lot of people go to me and like, how are you eating by yourself? And I'm like, what do you mean? Why can't you eat by yourself?
Yeah.
What is wrong?
Yeah. There's literally one friend I have. I always go to the movie by myself because I just love to hear myself talk. So when I'm talking, I'm oh my God, that's amazing. Watching a film.
Yeah.
My dad hates it, so I usually bring my dad along. Yeah. Majority of the movies I go to, it's my dad next to me. But when I go by myself, my friend messaged me and she's like, how do you go to... I've never gone to a single movie on my own. I can't imagine going on my own. She decided one day she wanted to go see Avatar, so no one was available. So she's like, okay, I'll go see it by myself. She messaged me after. She's like, I can see why you like going on your own.
Yeah.
It's scary. Go. It's scary when you first do it because you're just everyone's surrounded by people and they're all talking. But you actually get to do the things that you want to do and get to focus on scenes that you want to focus on and do things at your own pace. If you go shopping by yourself, the amount of times you can go into a store 3 times and not people complain is so good. Yeah. It's so nice being oh no, I'm really thinking about that skirt. Okay, I'll go back in and see if it's still there. Yeah. The people, you don't have to guilt. No one has guilting you. No one is making you feel a certain way.
Yeah. Why are you buying so much stuff?
Exactly.
Well, I just want to.
Yeah. Why are you going in the sales section? Well, because it's cheap.
Yeah. And something's cute over there.
Exactly. Why are you buying a shirt for $5? Because it's $5. Why are you buying a shirt for $89? So it's so nice to have the capacity to only deal with yourself.
Love that.
Yeah. I never regret going by myself anyway.
I love that for you.
There are some people that I regret hanging out with. Yeah. But yeah, exactly.
Same.
There are people just like, oh, I shouldn't have gone. I did not have the mental capacity to deal with you today.
Yeah. Jeez.
God, too much drama, some people.
Yeah. Well, I have a stack of movie tickets that, to commemorate the times I went by myself.
Yeah.
Probably this high.
I love keeping the movie tickets.
Yeah. I mean, that was in the past when I was in Vietnam because, they printed everything out. But now everything's on my phone. But, yeah. Like, probably same stack. But, yeah. Like, it's like this. And I'm like, it's so fun.
Yeah.
I don't miss any details in the movie. And then everybody else is like, what happened? When they go with other people, I'm like, well, because you're talking, so you don't not really watching it.
Yeah, I hate talking in movies. Yeah. Okay, so the next, while we get all...
It's the rabbit hole. Let's go to the next one.
Okay. So the expatriation life.
Expatriation?
Yes, expatriation sort of life. Mm-hmm. How can we sort of go about chasing that without sort of worrying about the family that we're leaving?
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm going to have to make a disclaimer. Okay. Not everyone is lucky enough to be able to choose this life guilt-free. Mm-hmm. What I mean by that is I have a happy and healthy family. They're not wealthy, but they're happy. Mm-hmm. And they're healthy. Yeah. So that is enough for me to feel like I can just go. Mm-hmm. No one is there to take care of my mom. Like, I mean, by no one, I mean no one else, because I'm her only child. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't mean that she doesn't have anyone at all to take care of her. She has friends. She has her brothers and sisters, her nieces, her nephews. A lot of people care about her. But, like, when you think about the traditional family context, people would think that she has no one to take care of her, Mm-hmm. And I think that's why a lot of people have guilt because of that. Like, the traditional family dynamic. You need to be in one place. So the disclaimer I'm making is for people who might have a very different life. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know, maybe, for example, I came across this lady a while ago, and I remember I think I was interviewing her for a role at my previous job, and she was saying that, I need to plan out my work day so I can take my dad to and from the hospital. Okay. So I need a job that is remote, flexible enough so I can do that. So then when I think about her situation, and this comes from my empathy, right? I don't think about just her work day, but I think about her whole life. Yeah. Because she's now taking care of her sick dad. What about, her own life? What about her moving away or traveling or, starting a family of her own? Yeah. A lot of thoughts go through my mind when I think about people's circumstances. And so I think for that reason, it depends. Mm-hmm. Not everyone can have this life. And I think for us expats, or for me, used to being an expat, to be able to have that life was a privilege. And not a single day goes by that I don't think about how lucky I have been throughout this whole process. And I'm truly thankful. I'm also glad that, my family is still very happy, very healthy. I mean, things have happened, but overall, they're all good. So, that is sort of like the backbone to how I can stay here and just get on with my life, pretty much. Not worry too much about it. And for other people, I think the starting point would be to think about what you want to do with your life. Mm-hmm. Because I would say, let's just take the example of the girl whose dad is sick. If she could find a way to help her dad, because she really wants to move away, that would really help her, right? But then the question is, why does she want to go? And how important is it to her life? Mm-hmm. Because, maybe she might just not want to go. A lot of people just want to stay in one place with their family. I've heard a lot of that, actually, when I was studying. A lot of people just couldn't wait to go back to their home country because of how spoiled they are at home. And I'm happy for them. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, a lot of people really want to change their lives, change environment, because not in the sense that they need to run away from anything at home, but in the sense that they need to go somewhere else so that they can grow and be their true selves, just like me. I couldn't be who I actually am, and I wasn't happy. So I recognized that, and I decided that, you know what, I need to move. But traditionally speaking, I'm in a Southeast Asian country. My family's not wealthy. My mom and dad split up. My mom's taking care of her parents. I mean, now my grandpa. If you think about all of that, why would I go away? I shouldn't. I should just stay home to take care of my mom and my grandpa. Right? Traditionally speaking.
Yeah.
But the reason that I could just go and live my life and do whatever the heck I wanted with it, excuse me, is because I think about my life in the grand scheme of things, and I know that I would regret it when I die. It seems a bit, grim, but I like to think about it that way. This is like also related to this is a concept from, actually not concept, but research from a book called Top 5 Regrets of the Dying. So one of the most thought of for the dying when they think about their lives is they didn't live a life true to themselves. That's what they regret the most. So it just sort of confirmed my train of thought. And, I think for me that was important. So I found my why, and then I started to think about my how. Obviously, I wasn't happy to leave my mom, simply because to me, she's the one that needs a lot of help. This is sort of like the reverse parenting that sometimes we talk about. What about our parents?
Yeah.
Are they actually like just all good? Like they don't need to learn and grow anymore? I don't think so. I think reverse parenting is so important, which is why whenever I talk to my mom, I tend to bring up things that I think would be good for her, things that she could do differently. Of course, in a nice way, not in a preachy way. Yeah. But for me, growing away actually helped because she's become more comfortable in her own skin. She's doing a lot of things that she didn't do before, and she's trying new things. She's hanging out with her friends more. She's having fun without me, which is very important. I don't want to be my mom's whole life. Yeah. That's what I was scared of. I don't want to be her whole life.
I think that's a big thing.
Yeah.
Because a lot of when you're raising a kid, that becomes your entire reason to live. Yeah. And then suddenly when that child decides to move, they're having to find their own, or when the child gets older, they could still be living in the same house. They just don't need you as much. And I think I've spoken about this on my other show. Yeah. And it's so common to how much it actually affects both sides. Because then you're like, okay, well, what can my parent really do for me now? They have nothing really. They've shown me everything. They've guided me in so many ways to who I am now. Yeah. I don't need them as much as I do. So it's so interesting to see just how much the parent has to go find their own life. And I think for me personally, always knowing that sometimes distance is better for a lot of parent and child relationships.
100%. Couldn't agree more.
On both sides.
Yeah. Very.
Sometimes moving away does more, there's something better than actually staying there and working through the issues. Yeah. Because you find your own life, she finds her own life, and it's so much. Yeah. Everything's calmer.
Couldn't agree with you more.
Yeah.
My relationship with my mom has improved dramatically ever since I moved away. We were constantly fighting over little things when I was living at home with her. And in a way, I felt like I was suffocating. And at the same time, I know that she was probably not happy about whatever it was that I was doing either. Yeah. And I think there was a little bit of guilt involved in the whole process of living at home and fighting with your mom all the time. Because, it's not a healthy family environment. And another thing that I have to say and this is out of love for my family, is I was severely anxious when I was at home. And I felt that again over the 3 months that I spent with my family. And I did the 3 months trip, not for myself, but for them mostly. Yeah. Because, I know that, we've been away for so long because of COVID, because of my, visa process. I wanted to make sure everything was working out before I visited them, just so, I don't have to worry about paperwork and things like that. So instead of going back in early 2022, I came back last year, end of the year. And, of course, they were so thrilled to see me, right? Because, I was away for so long, and I was happy to see them as well. But what they don't know, and I don't know if any of them would watch this. I mean, I share the shows with them. If they do watch this, great. But I do have to say that it was a lot of anxiety throughout the 3 months that I'm still recovering from. Whenever I'm with my family, I'm just anxious. I probably need to talk through this at therapy. But I think the reason is because of the expectations, because of the not having your own space, of not having your space being respected.
Yeah.
Of not having who you are respected even. So a lot of that goes back to why you need to move away, right? Because I realized all of this really early on. In my early 20s. I knew that I needed to do something differently. And so I went, and just with no plans really. I just wanted to get a different kind of education, just open my eyes to things, and just grew to be somebody different. And, a big part of me thought that, when I finished my studies and my 2 years of work, because we could, stay for 2 years and work in Australia after studying, I would go back and be a better person. But, throughout that process, I also realized that had I gone back, I probably would need some distance as well. Yeah. In the sense, I probably won't be under the same roof with them, maybe not even the same city. Because you just talked about distance, and this is healthy distance that I'm talking about. So I've created a 7,000 kilometers buffer zone between me and my family. Yeah. So I can manage my mental health and, be my own person, and probably just be a bit better for it. It'll be better for us all, because we're always learning together, not just me, my family too. And I hope, especially my mom, I hope it helps, because I see that she's, happy. Yeah. She's okay, and she's doing her things. So that's what I'm the most happy about, and I'm really just, believing that she's going to keep doing that, and it's going to keep helping her. But the reverse parenting that I'm talking about, another thing that I want to mention before we go on to the next one is she constantly asked me about partnering up. And whenever she mentions that, I ask, what about you? You're telling me to do that, but what about you? Are you partnering up with someone that you like? Okay. And she's like, it's too late for me. And I was like, what do you mean? It's never too late. It's not the right time for me right now. I don't need it. I need to focus on other things, but maybe it's the right time for you, because you've done enough for the family. Yeah. I mean, she needs to take care of Grandpa, but everybody in the family knows how much she takes care of him. Yeah. And everybody knows how much she could benefit from something else. And I know this not because I just want her to couple up with someone, but I know this because she sort of mentioned it to me in conversations, in passing, or probably in detail, when we converse. Something along the line of, oh, it would be nice to have someone. But she doesn't do anything about it. No. So now I have to do the reverse parenting of saying, Mom, I think it's good for you to go out there and just, first of all, make friends. Because she said that to me. She said, so why don't you go out more and make friends? Yeah. And then I'm like, right back at ya. Do it. do that, and then we'll talk. So, yeah, I think that's the most interesting thing to me throughout the process of moving away, being an expat, and to now, living somewhere else completely. Yeah. It's a different life. I mean, I still have to think through the whole thing of living here forever, but that's a story for another day because there's a lot into that, my friend.
We can do an hour on that.
Yeah, we can. Yeah, no, not an hour. We can do a whole day on that. Like just all the aspects of life.
Oh, God. So apart from that, like 3 months of being able to see them, how often do you still sort of keep in touch with your mom and the rest of your family as well?
I'm not going to sound like a very good daughter now, but I probably call her once a week or once every fortnight.
Okay.
You know, like video call the family and her and grandpa. My grandpa is partially deaf, so she's my interpreter, pretty much. We text every other day. My dad and I don't talk as much. We probably call like once every quarter.
Okay.
But we text pretty much every week. And I think it is because of how close, that reflects how close we are, you know. So I'm closer with my mom than my dad, obviously. With the extended family, we have a family group chat, like every other family. So, you know, whenever something goes on in the group chat, I'll just chime in. But yeah, they don't really care that much, to be honest. They don't ask questions. Yeah, like once a year, I'll probably get a call from one of them. But it's not like constant calling. So to me, that's healthy because we stay in touch. You know, if there's anything new that, you know, I'll tell them. There's nothing new to tell them because I know exactly what they want to hear, which is where my boyfriend is. And I'm like, you know what? I'm curious to know as well. So you tell me.
Yeah.
What is my boyfriend doing? You know, maybe he's finding me somewhere. I have no idea.
Is he driving at the moment? Is he sleeping? I don't know.
Yeah. Something like that.
Yeah.
So it's funny in the family group chat. Because when I was at home, we, you know, converse a lot because, you know, they'll make friends to see one another and then I'll come and talk to them. And then they'll follow up with questions on the group chat and things like that. But when I'm away, not that often. I think the most important aspect for me is to have quality conversation over quantity.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people say, oh, I text and call my mom every day. And I respect that.
Yeah. That is dedication.
I respect that.
Yeah.
I cannot do it. I cannot. Because I need my own space. I need my own space to do my things, to think about what I need to do and just to grow as a person in general. Think about all the cooking and cleaning you're doing when you're living alone.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah. And, you know, I work. Yeah. And the job is not easy.
No.
My mental space is this much at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So I don't want to give my mom that energy.
Yeah.
Over the weekend, when, you know, I have a very high level of energy, when I'm recharged, I'll give her a better conversation. I'll give her all my attention, and that's what I want. I don't want to say, yeah, I want to text and call her every day just because everybody else does it. Yeah. Quality over quantity. Yeah. So that's my personal mantra and just like my personal principle, but, you know, each person does it differently.
Yeah. Well, I live with my mom. I still don't talk to her that often every day. Yeah. Like, it's having that boundary and then both sides learning to respect that. Like, she doesn't talk to me every day. Yeah. I don't talk to her every day. And then we live in the same house. Yeah. Like, we're surrounded 4x4 walls. There's no way that we don't cross paths. Yeah. But we don't. We really don't. Yeah. And she's out the door at like 6 a.m. going to gym. I'm asleep at 6 a.m. I'm leaving at 7 to go to work. And then that's it. So it's like everyone has, and I think it's good to not see the same person every day or talk to the same person every day. Because then it's something exciting. Like for me, if you call and text your mum every single day or even both your parents every single day, what are you left to talk about? Like there are some days that there's nothing exciting going on, no point in talking to them. Yeah. And I'd rather like you said, quality over quantity. I would rather tell them something that I'm really excited for than sit there and just say, oh yeah, my day was good. As I was in pajamas all day. Like I was just working. Like occasionally they'll ask. Occasionally I have to give that remark because that's literally all that happened. I'm working in PJs like the entire day.
Great update, by the way.
Yeah.
I love that update.
Yeah, it's a good visual.
Yeah.
My hair in a bun, that's it.
Yeah. We love that.
Yeah. It's work attire at work. So, yeah.
Very appropriate.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's why you do remote work.
I know, right? It's the best job ever. Okay, so going into audience questions.
Okay.
We did get given some audience questions.
Okay.
So we're going to go through them. Mm-hmm. And hopefully you can help us answer this because apparently this is what everyone is struggling with at the same time.
Yeah.
Okay. So how do you deal with homesickness?
I'm going to sound really bad right now, but I don't get homesickness. So I don't know how to answer that, but I will say certain moments will give you homesickness. Like not all the time, but sometimes like a feeling. So to me, Lunar New Year is a very important occasion because I grew up surrounded by family, during Lunar New Year. So if I ever get homesickness, it's around that time.
Okay.
Not Christmas, not New Year, Lunar New Year. And to me, dealing with it is doing the things that I used to do and, just spending more time with my family. So, for example, during the years that I couldn't visit my family, I would take days off during Lunar New Year and just stay on call with my mom as much as I can.
Yeah.
Because, Lunar New Year is a very busy time. A lot of moms would prepare, all the food, the offerings, doing all these, like, ceremonies and things, over the course of days.
Yeah.
And I remember this one year, I think I took 2 days off. So like Lunar New Year's Eve and Lunar New Year's Day, and I actually cooked the same food.
Oh wow!
So yeah, like I made the same traditional food that we normally make, and obviously I wouldn't make a feast because I'm one person and I don't hang out with a lot of Vietnamese people. Actually, I don't hang out with anyone until now because one of my friends just moved here. But previously, I didn't hang out with anyone that would celebrate Lunar New Year with me the same way that I do. Like maybe I'll invite my friend over and give them the food, but they wouldn't understand the exact intent and the feeling.
Okay, yeah.
So I would just stay on call with my families, and I'll share what I'm making. They will share what they're making, and then like I was going through my camera roll the other day, and I found these photos of us cheering through the screen. Obviously, because of the time difference, I wouldn't be having meals at the exact same time as they do, but. Yeah, I'll prepare myself a glass of something and then cheer with them and just watch they eat. Yeah. I have this 1-minute video of my cousin eating, just like a mukbang for the Lunar New Year feast. I have no idea why I filmed it, but I did. Hilarious. But yeah, that was very funny. Because, my cousin and I are very tight. So, he was in front of the camera and I just filmed the whole thing. But, yeah, that was funny. And it kind of helped because I think it's less the homesickness, but it's more the feeling lonely sort of thing. Because I told you, I don't hang out with a lot of Vietnamese people. So no one really understands how I celebrate Lunar New Year.
Okay.
And then, like all the things going on at Chinatown and things like that. I don't relate with a lot of that. And I wouldn't go out to be with other people because it's like, they celebrate Chinese New Year, which is slightly different from Lunar New Year. And spending time at home like that just helped. So for others who might struggle with this, I think if you struggle hard with homesickness and, it happens on a daily basis, first of all, surround yourself with people that understand you. If you have great friends, I would recommend spending time with them. Do some activities together so it actually gets your mind off of the homesickness and helps you feel a bit less lonely. I think another thing to try is definitely to do the exact same thing that you used to do at home. If you can, then, call your family, but probably not too much because if then you'll probably just be mentally living at home still. Yeah. Which I don't think is healthy. So, if there was to be a healthy balance, I would say try, the activities that you would normally do, but try them with your friends here. Yeah.
Okay.
Or wherever you are based. Doesn't have to be Australia, because I know there are expats everywhere. Always just come here. Yeah, we welcome people. Yeah. So that works. So yeah, I think those would be the two main strategies that I'll recommend. But personally, I just only do something different for Lunar New Year. Otherwise, I have great people surrounding me. So and I have a busy life. Like, I pack my days with activities. I don't think I have an issue with that. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it for this question.
Yeah, that's really good. That's a really good answer.
Thanks.
So, how do I schedule family phone calls without being rude?
That's a good one. Initially, I felt weird as well. Like, I felt like I was being rude to my mom when I was like, I cannot talk. But then I realized that it's just me honoring my time and also honoring her time, and, you know, really focus on the energy and the quality of the conversations. So what I would say is just be honest about your situation, like whatever it is that you need to do. For example, for me, I told my mom, hey, I would love to talk to you over the weekend because I would have more energy and more headspace to share things, because during the week it tends to get really hectic. I don't know when I'm going to finish. So I just don't want to miss the calls if I've promised you to call you. So can we do the weekend? Okay. So my strategy is honesty, actually, for anything in life, really. So just be honest and talk about what exactly is happening, and make a time. You know, so if you cannot call every day, do it every week, and, you know, choose a time when you actually have the headspace for it, so you can spend quality time with them. And I'm sure your family would appreciate that as well. I think I'm also lucky because my mom's not demanding in the sense that, hey, we need to call every day. And perhaps some other parents might want to check in every day, just so they can be sure of, you know, how their kid's doing and things like that. But for people who are working, I think it's extremely hard, because you want to feel grounded where you are with your work and with everything else. Yeah. I know a lot of people stay on video calls all day throughout their work because they need to, you know, keep the other person in the loop. I remember this one colleague of mine who used to stay on video call with her fiance throughout the whole workday because they were in a long distance relationship, and that worked for them because, you know, that's important. But for me personally, I wouldn't do that because, you know, we're not talking, and I'm probably just distracting myself or distracting the other person, for example. Yeah. So yeah, I would say be honest about how much you want to communicate, how frequent you want to communicate, and when you have the most energy, so they can appreciate your time more. And, you know, it's more meaningful whenever you talk, because, you know, obviously if you talk all the time, just like you said earlier, there's nothing left to talk about. Yeah,
exactly. Like, what conversation do you have?
Yeah,
I think it's a really good, like, honesty is a really good one. For some reason, I am the biggest people pleaser in the world, and no matter how busy I am, I will answer a call. Yeah. And so that is, like, I have a lot of friends who love that constant communication and love that reassurance each and every time. So they're extremely needy of me because I'm there at home away from home. Aww. So right now she's with her home, so it's fine. She's in her home, so it's fine. Aww. But, like, there are just a lot of, like, situations where her and I are just, she's working, I'm working, we're muted, like that long distance. We're just, like, muted and just doing the work. Sometimes I'm in meetings with you and then she's, like, right there. So it's, like, it's really nice to have that with certain people. I think with family, it's a very different thing. Yeah. Because family really love to talk. Mm-hmm. They love to sort of see what you're working up to and then you having to explain. Yeah. But I think in a lot of cases, when you're overwhelmed with, like, work and stuff, there is no way that you're going to be able to uphold. I barely want to see anyone when I'm busy with work, let alone, like, actually talking with them constantly. Yeah. So, yeah, I would love that idea of trying to be honest with them too.
Yeah. And I mean, let's be real. They should appreciate honesty. Yeah. because I don't think anyone would love a relationship based on lies and dodging the questions and just not talking to each other about what actually is going on. So as harsh as it may sound sometimes, just be honest. It would help both you and whoever it is that you're talking to from your family, because what I realized in the past as well is when I didn't tell my mom these things, she didn't understand. Like, I didn't tell her when I was depressed. She had no idea. I was constantly like pretending to be happy and okay. But then later on when I told her about the situation, she was kind of shocked. But then she started to understand me more. And she started to respect me more, for example. So again, it's up to you. Like, you need to decide for yourself what works, which kind of information you want to let on. But I would say honesty is the policy. Maybe not right there and then if you don't want to share certain information. Because imagine this, you're going through such a rough patch. Maybe you're dealing with some personal issues or like a trauma that you just went through that you don't know how to explain to your family. Probably not right then, but take your time and talk to them, because sometimes they might be like, why are you so weird? Right? Like, why are you not talking to me?
Yeah, exactly.
They don't understand what's going on. And I feel like that is just going to damage the relationship in the long run. So if you can say something like, I would love to tell you about it, but I'm not ready. Can we just take it slow today and talk about something else? Or I'm not in the headspace to talk today. Can we text? Yeah. That works. I send my mom cat memes all the time and like photos of my cats, just to be like, hey mom, life update.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm busy, but here's some life updates. We'll talk this weekend, okay? Great.
Yeah. Sometimes it's what a lot of people just want. They want to know that you are okay.
Yeah.
And as long as like
exactly
having that. And I think like another thing, I think you brushed up on it as well. It's being in the reality of your space. So having that constant reminder that they're there. Like I think you're talking about Lunar New Year, whereas like you forget the reality that you are here in a different place to them. So like when you're spending the whole time, it's still like you're back there. You're not like in realizing that your space is like in a different space to them.
It's good temporarily, but not forever. Because, you know, like then what is the point of you moving away?
Exactly. So like that's what like the limiting of the phone calls is a really good strategy to be able to realize that you are here in a different space and you are figuring things out here. So yeah, that's another one. The next question is, what if my parents don't seem to care that I've moved away, or they don't want to check in with me?
Ooh, that's the reverse one.
Yeah, a complete opposite.
Oh, wow. Well, I would say ask yourself this question. Does it matter? Because chances are, and I know this sounds sad, but chances are if they don't care, they didn't really care previously anyway. And a lot of family relationships are like this. And I hear this from one of my best friends. She said her mom doesn't care about her at all. The only reason that she's alive is because her mom felt the societal pressure to have children. And her mom seemed to try to have a relationship with her, but it's not organic. It's not like because of love or anything like that. It's just more like, okay, I'll try. So does it matter? I know parents and family and, you know, family in general is very important in all of our lives, because it's like our, I don't know, like in a way it feels like you have a ground, like you feel grounded, you have your support system and you feel loved. Yeah. But doesn't matter if that's the case, because chances are they're not giving you what you need. And perhaps ask yourself, like, how do you feel about them? Do you need them in that way? Because if you have moved away, it is for a reason. And once you have moved away, you're going to have your own support system. You're going to choose your own family wherever you're based as well. So if your blood family doesn't care, then have a conversation with them and just really talk about what's wrong, if there's something that's wrong. If there's a fallout or there's a misunderstanding, that's a very different story from I don't care at all.
Yeah.
Right? Because like a lot of people just don't care that they have children. Unfortunately, I couldn't believe it when I first heard it, but yeah, now I know. Which is why I have doubts about having children, because I'm like, do I really want them?
Yeah.
Or do I just want them because everybody else has them?
Yeah, because it's expectation of what you're supposed to do.
Yeah. So ask yourself that. Does it matter?
Yeah.
And then if it does matter, and if it is because of something that happened, then work on it with them and really spend time. And again, going back to that policy that I talked about, honesty is my policy. If it doesn't work out right there and then, take your time, but definitely talk to them about it. But if it doesn't matter at all because it has always been that way, then I would say redirect that attention and focus on building your relationships where you are. Find your family, choose your family, and build that.
Yeah, it's a big part. It's a big thing to sort of build your own. Like, I mean, Taylor Swift's lyrics hit more than anything when it came out. I was like, you're a kid.
You always have been.
Oh, yeah. I'm like, oh, damn, okay.
Yeah. It is true.
Yeah. You don't realize it until you really get older and you're like, okay, I really am.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
That song I replayed that song so many times, I think I broke Spotify.
Well, you're just adding to her record on Spotify.
Yeah, exactly. So. Helping her.
Good job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So we have finished. That's all the questions.
Wow.
I know.
What great questions, actually.
I know.
I like the questions. They're the complete opposite.
Yeah, the transition.
Yeah. Like
it's like, what do you, if they care too much, if they care too little, if they care at all.
Yeah, wow.
So,
amazing.
Yeah. All right, well, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
And for like,
do I have an open mic?
This. Yes. Oh, yes, you do have an open mic space.
Okay.
I will give you the time to talk about. I forgot about that part. But
well, that's why I'm here, because we do the exact same job. I'm here to remind you. I've got your back, girl.
Yes, you fix me when I'm messing up.
You didn't mess up. You just forgot because it's been such a great conversation.
Yes. All right, so I'll
make this quick because I know it's been a long conversation.
Yes.
And I don't normally get to do this because I'm normally on the other end of the room. I don't sit here very often.
No.
This is new to me. It's fun. But yeah, I really want to talk about this today, which is related to the concept of family and the topic that we've been talking about. And actually on my other shows last week, when I was recording Seroboost and Doing Well, I was thinking about this, and I thought it'd be really important to share because throughout the conversation today, we've talked a lot about, choosing a different life and how you deal with that in the context of family, how you deal with the guilt, all that sort of stuff, which is tough. But I do want to talk about the fact that there's a quote going around, and I'm sure you've heard of it. It goes something along the line of, you're not late, you're not early, you're right on time. Mm-hmm. And I really want to talk about that in the sense of us figuring ourselves out before anything else. Mm-hmm. And this is because of what we've talked about. And also I want to emphasize the fact that if I've learned anything over the past 5 years, it is just to know yourself and know exactly what you want to do with your life. Because more often than not, you'll get asked these random questions either by your family, your friends, or just somebody else you meet, maybe in a networking event or whatever it is. They might ask you why you do certain things. And if you don't have an answer for that, it's because you don't know yourself. Mm-hmm. And I've learned this from myself as well. So I think it's very important for us to get to know ourselves and know what works for us. And that's like me doing the happiness and well-being show. And the whole time I'm just like, I don't really know the answer. Mm-hmm. Even though I've done this for a while, I still don't know the answer to happiness and well-being. Yeah. And I think it's a journey sort of thing. Like, you're never going to get to the end of it. You never know the perfect answer, but you'll know what works for you. Mm-hmm. So I really hope if anyone is listening to this, they'll just know to look inwards first and not let anything else rush them. Because this is what I've been dealing with, and I'm sure a lot of us can relate to this as well. Sometimes you do things because other people ask you to do it, or because you see other people do it, and you're like, I need to do this now. Mm-hmm. Well, you don't need to do it if you don't want to do it. Yeah. Don't move away if you want to stay at home. Do that. Don't get married just because everybody else is. And don't get pregnant just because everyone else is popping out kids.
Yeah, that's the big one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we all have different life stories and life paths, but I truly believe in the power of knowing yourself and sticking with your own path.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you're going to live with yourself the whole life. Nobody else will. Mm-hmm. So have a really good relationship with yourself. Know exactly what you want to do before anything else. And I'm still learning. Every single day I find out something new about myself that I didn't know. And I think it's very important to continually upgrade that as well, because you change over time. So find what works for you. And to the show's message, it's about family, but I think definitely take care of yourself first. You are your own family at all times. So take care of yourself. And don't let anyone else rush you to do anything you don't want to do.
Yes, that's a really big one.
Yeah.
That's probably the one that I talk about so often. Mm-hmm. Where it's like everyone has their own timeline. Yeah. And that is like, even though everyone says that, it's still the one, they say it because it's the truth.
Yeah.
And like I think especially the last, like I think I've spoken about this on the show as well, like the last few years of me being single, me being completely by myself, I had that whole ideology of that I was going to get married to this person. I was going to move to live with them because they're in a different state to me. So I was going to move there and have that whole ideology. But then suddenly it ended and then I didn't know what I was going to do. I had no idea. I had no other plan other than that's what I was going to do since I was probably like 18. And then finding out at 22 that wasn't going to happen. Mm-hmm. I spent that whole time waiting and that wasn't happening. Yeah. And then had to rework everything that I ever knew. Mm-hmm. Unlearn everything I've ever learned. Mm-hmm. And it was a big thing, but it was suddenly became the best journey because I got to really see that I didn't really like this person to begin with and that it wouldn't have ended well. It wouldn't have gone the way that we wanted because I was doing everything to make the other person happy rather than myself happy. Yeah. So it's such a good thing to be able to have that time by yourself.
Oh, for sure. And thank you for sharing that. It must have been hard for you. I couldn't imagine going through something like that because I think for me it never got that far to the point where I'm like, I can't imagine my whole life with this person. Never. Mm-hmm. And yeah, like if it happens, it happens. If not, that's okay because there's a meditation that I really love. It's called I Am Here, I Am Home. And basically the idea is you're here, you're home within yourself. And that's the most important thing because a lot of the times, just like you, somebody else might be going through a relationship and they're like, it's so great to have someone. And I can imagine my whole life playing out like this. Mm-hmm. And you completely forget about yourself. Yeah. That has happened to me, like not to the extent of like, oh yeah, I'm going to just like throw my life away. I still knew what I wanted to do and I was still sort of like making time for that. But I did not put in as much time as I would have had I known that, you know what, first of all, this person isn't right for me. And second of all, I'm just like spending way too much time doing what they want instead of what I want. Yep. Or maybe trying to get their attention. Yes. Because that's what you do in relationships, right? You're like, are we giving each other enough attention? You know? Yeah. So, yeah, like I really like the concept of being home within yourself. So, if anything, I would recommend that to anyone who might be struggling a little bit with what they want to do. And in fact, I have a little story about my friend who got out of a relationship not long ago, a couple of weeks ago. And we actually had a big conversation last year because she wants to move to London. Mm-hmm. Her boyfriend doesn't. Mm-hmm. Her boyfriend got a house and he just wants to settle down. And they're really good together, but not great together, unfortunately. And so we had a really tough conversation about it because she was struggling with it internally and she didn't know who to talk to, because it's kind of hard to have everybody else understand this, because it's so easy to just settle down, right?
Yeah.
He's got his life figured out, so why don't you just settle down with him?
Yeah.
But she doesn't want to do it. So see, this is what I'm talking about. What do you want to do with your life? What will you regret if you don't get this done for yourself? And are you feeling like you're okay, like you're here with yourself? Because it can be fun and all, hanging out with your boyfriend, girlfriend, partners, whatever it is, but fun is not enough.
No, for sure.
So
and you can always have that adventure. You always want that adventure, and if for someone who wants that adventure needs to find someone else who wants that adventure too. So that's a really big it's a really big change to have to realization,
which is why you need to choose your family.
Exactly. Now I want to thank you so much for coming on, Lu, and for making the time on a Monday to come and share this with me on a Monday, and we're going so deep already. So
I chose Monday because I was like, it's going to be a great boost to start the week with. I didn't even know what the topic was until this morning, so I was like, this works out great. I love the topic. But thank you so much for having me, and it's a pleasure to be here. My first time doing this, and it's been fun.
Yes, I'm glad that you've enjoyed it. I'm glad that I hope that I've made it easy.
Oh yeah, totally. Anytime. I mean, come on, Dina. Come on. It's always easy.
I will have both your shows linked down below.
Thank you.
For everyone to go check it out. I highly recommend both of them. They are both.
Thank you.
Her voice, just if you're listening to her voice now,
really?
It's so calming to have to listen to. So thank you so much for joining. And if you want to follow on social media and stuff, it's all down below. So I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. You've been listening to Altogether, the Family Science Insights podcast, produced by Family Science Labs, a division of LMSL, the Life Management Science Labs. More episodes are available from 10 life management perspectives and can be found by searching LMSL on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and other podcasting apps available on your smartphone. If you enjoyed this episode, please rate, share, and subscribe to our channel so that other people can find it and we can continue to provide quality content. More of our work can be found on our website at fa.lmsl.net, where you can join our movement. I'm Dina Sargeant, and thanks for tuning in.